Welcome back to the garden, you guys. Today is a really exciting day because we are going to be finishing planting all of our veggies. We already have some of the cold hardy things in the ground, some of the lettuces like the spinach and the kales. We have peas in the ground, we have carrots, but today is going to be focused on some of the warmer items. So the tomatoes, the cucumbers, the zucchini, some of the squashes. I have my garden layout here, my map. So we're going to be taking a look at this. This is really nice to have because I don't have to play any guessing games. And once we get everything in the ground, I'll give you kind of a quick tour of how everything is looking. And our planting will be done for 2023. With that, let's get to planting. This year we're growing quite a few different varieties of tomatoes. So we're going to be focusing on Roma and San Marzano, and those are going to be the bulky, prolific producers, the ones that you're going to use in tomato and spaghetti sauce and in salsas. And in previous years we've done some more unique varieties, I would say, just kind of fun varieties, but they never really turned out great. They never really grew great, and they weren't the best tasting of the ones that did grow. So this year we're simplifying things, focusing on those heavy hitters, and along with the Roma and the San Marzano, we are doing a beefsteak tomato, just good for sandwiches. And then we are going to be growing little cherry tomatoes, and I don't actually remember the variety, but we grew them a few years ago and they were so good. And so they are going to be, hopefully we're going to get the same results this year, and they're just really tasty, really good, prolific growers. And this year, one of the things too that we're testing out is we're going to be using some weed barrier, some landscape fabric around the tomato plants. And I'm really just hoping that that helps with some of the weed pressure, because our boxes are they're pretty bad. I can't even sugarcoat it. They're pretty bad when it comes to weeds. And so hopefully that's going to help with the tomatoes, a plant that really does need some space, and it's best if it doesn't have a ton of weed pressure. So we're gonna see how that works, fingers crossed. In this box here we have potatoes, just some red potatoes, and they're actually growing really well if you can kind of see these plants that are a little bit taller. But this is a box that has a ton of weed pressure on it. So we have this lamb's quarter, and it's everywhere in our garden, which is a bummer, but with the tomatoes, I'm hoping that the weed fabric helps, and these potatoes are growing well enough that the weeds shouldn't drown out the potatoes or anything like that. But there's a few boxes that I do have to kind of amend and get ready because they're gonna be just too much weed pressure if I don't do anything about it. So that's one of the things that's a bummer. You know, when you build a garden the first year and you bring in that new fresh soil, it's always so much more aesthetically pleasing, and it looks so nice. And then after a few years, you know, weeds blow in, or weeds get turned up from when you till, or whatever the case might be. And it's not as pretty of a garden, but hopefully we're still gonna have some pretty good results this year with our growing. Yeah. What can you do? If you have a good weed tip, let me know, because we are drowning in the weeds this year. One quick tip, if you ever are in need of putting holes in landscape fabric, I've found that the best method is to use like a campfire torch like this. It takes 2 seconds to put a perfect circle in there, and you can do it with pretty good accuracy and precision. So if you're looking to put holes in landscape fabric, pick up one of these. It's well worth it. In this box, we're just going to be doing some yellow onions, and I picked up starts because it's just so much easier than to set them by seed. But we're just going to go down about 2 inches, cover up the top, and then give them a good watering. So in this box here we have some of our herbs. So we already planted dill, and we have peppermint that we're going to be planting, and then we have a few different varieties of basil. It looks like we have Emily basil and Genovese, wherever that is. There we go, Genevieve basil. So we only are doing 4 plants this year because we always tend to have way more basil than we need. But this box here is our herb box. So in this box here we have zucchini, and it's kind of funny because last year we planted zucchini, the first year we did, and it was fantastic. I mean, we just had hundreds of pounds of zucchini, literally. And last year we planted zucchini and had one singular zucchini that grew and that we were able to eat. So we're hoping to find a balance this year in between the two. So we're going to do 5 plants here, one in each corner and then one in the middle, and that should be enough space for each zucchini plant hopefully to thrive. So here's to more than 1 zucchini this year. Next up in this box here we're doing cucumbers, and the 2 varieties that we're doing are pickle bush cucumbers and gherkin cucumbers. Last year we did just gherkin and they did great. I mean, they really produced a lot, so we were able to get a ton of cucumbers, make some pickles. We need to perfect our pickle recipe this year though, but so we're gonna plant the same varieties, and we're just gonna do 4 on this box. We're gonna do 2 on each side of this trellis here, and hopefully if they grow like they did last year, they'll trellis up nicely and we will have a good selection for our pickles this year. In our other raised garden bed here, this is kind of like our leftover box. We have a lot of extra starts, so especially tomatoes and peppers. So with the space, we're going to turn it into what I'm calling a salsa box. So we're going to do some peppers for salsa, like jalapenos, and then we're going to do some of our leftover Roma and beefsteak tomatoes in here, and this is going to be the box that we pull from to make some delicious salsa this year. So I'm going to go and put the landscape fabric down and then get the extra plants in here planted. All right, we have finished planting everything for now. We have some leftover squash, Hubbard squash and acorn squash, butternut squash, things like that, that we're going to plant. I think we're actually gonna do containers for those because they tend to spread and get big. But for now, everything in the boxes are planted, and in a few weeks, I'll do a tour video, just kind of updating and showing how things are growing. But I'm really excited because this is always such a big workload, and now that it's done, all we have to do is just water and keep weeding, and we're gonna start producing some awesome vegetables and yeah, produce. So thank you for watching the video. My name is Austin and my wife Sarah. This is the Cypress and Sparrow Homestead. We are on a mission to try and be as self-sufficient as we can through growing our own food. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for following along on our journey, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.